No, no! No! Are you listening?
Sean here, chilling on this 4th of July weekend. I'm tired. I ran twice today for an hour each time, mowed the lawn, did some other stuff, and I just want to relax. It's been a long week. I was going to make a long video, but I decided that I would rather talk about the owner and proprietor of the trailer failure, the owner of the Cornville Condom Company, and the owner of the Solo Chomo Sex Shop, Mr. Lorne Armstrong. There are some moments throughout Lornography and some key aspects of the Lornography saga that made me question whether or not the universe wasn't trolling us, or that Lorne wasn't actually a universal reality show that aliens on other planets were watching going, oh, these humans, look at this. This is like the perfect human to focus in on because it's a never-ending source of entertainment. We know Lorne is abusive, but I'll tell you one of the things about Lorne. You can watch him struggle. He wants to be alone, but he doesn't want to be alone at the same time. There's a call, you even sound like you're cheating on me, that Lorne, in his head, for some reason, it's completely quiet in the background, but you can tell Lorne is really drunk. And he just wants to pick a fight with Winnie, and he wants her to pay attention to him and beg and plead and just try to, Lorne, please. But she just keeps telling him, check yourself. So Lorne hangs up in one of his many hang-up games, and you can hear Ember and Dan going, did you hear that? How do you sound like you're cheating on somebody? That, my friends, is bipolar 1. That's not bipolar 2. Because the bipolar 2 for Lorne is the fact that he was trying to drive her away and keep her at the same time. So saying something awful, saying something like the constant, you're cheating on me, he thinks it will bring them back, make them close, get that closeness. But in reality, in his head, he's trying to drive them away, which is why he always hangs up. But he wants them to stay, which is why he always answers. It's more than that. I'm the same way. I want friends, but at the same time, I want to be isolated. But that call in particular was total bipolar 1. Lorne, he was over the deep end on that one, and it is infuriating. And even the Lorne Identity, who I think laughs a little bit too much at his monstrosity, even he was frustrated with him. Me and Cornville three-way, we get along great. Winnie's boyfriend / husband, he also gets upset. Bast Ravioli, man, she and I get upset at the same things. The point I'm trying to make is, you can see him battle with, I want to be alone, but I don't want to be alone. And that's part of the reason he acts the way he does to everyone. He's trying to drive them away. He doesn't want to, but it's in his nature to drive people away. He hates himself. He knows what he is. He knows what he's capable of. But he's also a narcissist, so he has to keep him around. Hopefully I'm not in a Sean vortex. I will tell you a story about a Sean vortex. I was in the car with my ex. I believe I was probably angrily screaming about something so insignificant, going back and forth. And at one point I realized I was going in a vortex. And I realized the look on my ex's face, and I just started crying. Not Lorne manipulation tears, but legitimately crying. Because I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop myself. So I went and got help. Lorne will never get help. He needs it. And his tears are only when he gets in trouble, or only when he gets caught, or only when he thinks it's going to better him. The Rhoda funeral, he killed her. He's not worried about it. When he was sexually assaulted, you saw what happened. Two nights after that, Lorne is accusing her of cheating, asking her how hard she fought. He's a monster. So when he cries, it's kind of hard to take it seriously. His mom is another big factor in his life, not just his sick obsession with her, but we saw where he got thinking that calling people names is love. She called him a moron, and he giggled like a little schoolgirl. And going back now, when Debbie's screaming at him, calling him a bitch and you're a piece of garbage, he's like doing that smoker's laugh. Oh, man, that is a messed up household. Lorne was the youngest in the household, constantly tugging at his mom's skirt. Can you imagine working in multiple jobs, having all those kids, and having Lorne pulling on your skirt all day, trying to get your attention, and you're at your wit's end, you're frustrated, and you just start screaming at him. Would you just get away? Lorne, you're such an idiot. And so desperate for attention that he laughs at it and just tries to play it off or just ignore it. The entire Debbie saga is nothing but Lorne being a little bitch and a psycho and having no social awareness whatsoever. We know he doesn't understand social cues. I would imagine that the reason Wendy hates Lorne so much is because men were more tolerant when it comes to just sitting around and drinking. I don't know how long he knew Tony, but, they're sitting around and drinking and, yeah. You don't really put too much stock. We can tolerate each other. He can listen to Lorne's bullshit. Every once in a while, tell him, Sheriff's Department, get down. Make fun of him, and Lorne will just take it. But Wendy, on the other hand, Wendy is a female with a registered sex offender visiting her, probably talking to her in a manner nobody should ever speak to a woman, talking to Tony in a way that nobody should talk to anyone, and she's probably tired of it, and Lorne calls her a bitch because she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. He looks like a troll. He acts like a monster, and he's a piece of shit. He had so many chances to figure out these catfish women were fake. There was one specific moment when he told Winnie for like the 100 billionth time, call Emma, call Emma. So Winnie supposedly called Emma. And I guess Ember forgot to put her voice changer on because she goes, I did call her. Lorne didn't even catch it. Because you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because we know he didn't care what Emma was going to say. He was just waiting for his turn to just blast Emma immediately about Winnie letting some guy touch her in a place only he should have access to. God, he makes me sick. But I'm going to back up again because he didn't catch it. He didn't even realize it. Winnie's voice changed so much, so many times over the years, that at some point, I assumed, and I've said it before, I really did assume that he would figure out that, hey, well, first, a woman should not sound like this, but two, hey, wait a minute. Her voice has changed. Something strange is going on here. But he never freaking did. Not once did this guy ever say, this is weird. Think about the calls where she's like, I love you. And then one time, and I don't know if you remember this, but one time, she spoke to Lorne without her voice changer. Sounded just like Emma. And he accepted it. Because he's a moron. Because he really is stupid. Think about the pictures of Kayla. And how, I've heard people reason it out, saying that the reason that Lorne didn't pick it up is because he was so desperate. And, honestly, maybe. But at the same time, Lorne's brain doesn't function like the rest of us. So I can assure you that in his head, he was like, oh, must have been just a weird angle they took that picture at. At least that's my opinion. I think for the most part, when you're talking about Lorne Armstrong, you're talking about a guy who never kind of figured out who he was or never understood the way he thought, never understood himself, never had a clear view of how he saw the world and how he saw other people. We all have a little bit of narcissism in us. We look in the mirror and we still see that young, handsome, or beautiful person. I mean, me, I'm old. Not really old, but I'm old. Even though I'm in good shape for my age, I know how old I am. Believe me. But Lorne, I don't know, he's never grown up. He has no self-awareness. I don't think he realizes that, hey man, I'm in my 50s. I don't think Lorne has ever had Lorne is not even smart enough to figure out what a midlife crisis is. The one time Debbie tried to make him understand that and I think maybe Will, pointed out that he was in his 50s and he only had about 20 years left. Lorne got pissed and he was in disbelief. Like, well, what are you talking about? I'm going to live forever. I'm Lorne Armstrong. So we know he doesn't have a clue about that. As I've said before, Lorne thinks the next big thing is around the corner. We all think there are big things around the corner for us. And a lot of the things that are around the corner, we haven't planned on. We don't really know, what's next. But for some reason, in his head, he has got a clear vision of what's next. Wait a minute, I take that back. He knows that he's Lorne Armstrong, so big things are going to happen. Let me say that. So what I'm saying is, for Lorne, in his head, it doesn't matter what something big is going to happen. It's that he's Lorne Armstrong and he knows it's going to happen because, as I just said, he's Lorne Armstrong. Now, I don't blame anybody for feeling that way. I really don't. Because you have to have a positive outlook. But as for Lorne, he doesn't have a plan. He just has a dream. You know what? I take that back. I don't even know if he has a dream. I think he said country music singer. But I think Lorne just wants to be famous, maybe. I mean, Lorne, what's your plan to be a country music singer? And maybe he would say, well, someone's going to discover me. Maybe he would say that. I don't know. I still think he believes he's going to get back on YouTube and start putting those videos out and he's going to be discovered. I hope I'm not rambling. I'm just talking about this guy. I know he's a virgin. I was thinking back when I was dating. I haven't had a girlfriend for a couple years, and that's by choice. I just don't want to deal with it. I was married, got out of the marriage, I dated, had some one-night stands. No, I had a month or two flings with people, and it was fun. We both knew, when we went in, we both know what it actually was. We just went with it. And we talked about sex. One thing you don't hear Lorne talk about, you'd hear him talk about what he's going to do. You don't hear him offer up what he's done. One thing guys are notorious for is talking about bullshit sexual stuff. And we never hear Lorne do that unless somebody asks him about it. He wants to talk about what he's going to do. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He thinks having sex on the phone is actually having sex. I mean, he told, what's her name, Casey, one time, oh, I'm so ready to fuck you, my balls hurt. He's so vulgar and vile. Okay, backing up. I know Lorne's a virgin because Lorne is a narcissist and he brags about everything. But guess what he doesn't brag about? Sex. Because he can't. Because he's never had it. If he were to brag about sex, and I want you to think about this, if he were to brag about sex, they would start asking questions to him that he can't answer. So he usually does not. That's my opinion. And I'm going to talk about this lastly, Lorne is delusional. Now, I work with a guy, and I'm going to tell you one of the stories he told. No, two, real quick. He's never done anything. He was picked on his entire life. He was a big fat kid. He don't get me wrong. I'm just telling you what he told me. He was a big fat kid. He was a loser. No girls ever wanted him. But we would catch him. He would start telling the stories about how he was the hottest guy and he was beating off the women. They were not like that, but they was beating off the women and they just couldn't help it. He told us a story that his mom left him in the middle of town when he was 8. And he was such a good singer, the whole town came around and people were crying and oh God. And the other one he told us, he was in church when he was a teenager. He's up on stage preaching. And everybody was mesmerized. And when he came down the aisle, as he was passing people, they were passing out. He was touching them and they were passing out. And finally, I'm going to tell you a story. He was out hunting. He saw a deer. And the deer was standing in this one beam of sunlight. And Chris said, I asked God, am I supposed to kill this deer? And the deer looked at me. We locked eyes. It nodded its head. And I hit it, clean kill. It dropped right there. He also claims he can talk to animals. Why did I tell you all of that? Because Lorne is the same way. And Lorne is delusional and bipolar, probably a couple other things. And I am stunned he has not claimed to be an angel. I'm not kidding. I'm surprised he has a claim to be somebody with a higher purpose, somebody of extreme importance, celestial importance, because in Lorne's world, he probably believes that. That's just my opinion. It's something I expected him to say, because he did mention church and God when he talked to Emma for the first time. So anyway, I just wanted to discuss Mr. Penis. Saturday night, chilling. Probably going to play some video games, watch some Stranger Things, and then I'm going to go to bed. Get up on Sunday. I got a lot of work to do around the house. And I'm going to make the hemophilia, anxious attachment disorder video. If you made it through this, awesome. And you're the best. I love you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you in the next one.